शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So in today's talk, I thought I'll share some stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. So this story is from 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and this deals with the Karma Kanda part of Srimad Bhagavatam from Bhagavad Gita, the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So this story is about actually Mrigari Maharaj. He was a great king in those times. So this story is about him. So once what happened was this Raja was very pious. He was very nice, this thing. So he was taking care of his citizens very nicely, doing all things required for the citizens. So just like as every king does, so he also was actually trying to do charity. So as one of his charity, once what as a charity we do to a Brahmana, he actually took a nice cow from his Goshala and then offered it to a Brahmana during his charity. So this Brahmana, this cow he was totally dependent on this. He was totally dependent on this cow. But generally, this cow have a tendency to go back home, right? Whenever you leave it from the shed, the cows have a natural tendency to actually go back to their natural shed. So this cow, one day, what happened as it was staying in the Goshala of the king, so it actually by chance went back to the same Goshala, and again it started staying back there in the Goshala of the kingdom of the king. So again, when the king was doing charity, unfortunately, what happened was again when he was giving charity to another Brahmana, this same cow was given as a charity to the another Brahmana. So this Brahmana took this cow nicely. He was very happy by having the cow, and he was taking it back to home. Whereas the other Brahmana who was actually having this cow, he was actually very sad, and he was actually very sorrow that the only dependency he had, only source of income or only source of food that he had was this cow, and that cow was missing, and he was in a great anxiety and was actually searching for this cow. And then when suddenly he saw that the other side there was this Brahmana, and he was actually taking this his cow. He became surprised, and then he went to this Brahmana and he asked him, okay, from where did you get this cow? So this Brahmana said that the king actually gave me in charity this cow. Then he said, no, already this cow has been given to me in charity by the same king. How you are taking my cow and saying this thing? So a dispute arose between these two Brahmanas, and then they were not agreeing to each other. Then they decided, okay, we'll go back to the king itself. Let us see what he says. So then they both took this cow to the king, and then the king, to his surprise, came to know that it was the same cow that he had actually given in charity to both of these Brahmanas. So immediately the Brahmanas became very angry with this king, and then they actually cursed him. So the Brahmanas generally don't beg. Although the king offered that there are so many cows in my Goshala, I am ready to offer even 100 cows for this, but the Brahmana did not accept it. So they became very angry with the king, and they actually cursed him. So this curse was actually there with the Maharaj Mrigari. So here we can see, and then when the king actually died, he actually was taken by Yamadharma Raja, and Yamadharma Raja, after hearing all his stories, so he asked to the king that you have done a lot of pious activities, lot of good things you have done, but you have one mistake. You have done one mistake, and for that you have to suffer. So for the good activities, all the pious activities that you have done, you can actually go back to heaven and enjoy for thousands years, or you have to take this, you have to take punishment for the offense that you have done. So what is that you want to do? So then the king said that he thought for a while and then said that, okay, it is better for me to actually suffer before I enjoy. So he took this option of getting punishment, getting atonement for this, the offense he had done. And then he was actually given a birth as a chameleon. So a chameleon which changes its color, right? So he was given this birth as a chameleon, and then he was actually born. He was actually staying in a well. This description is there in Bhagavatam also, and it is there in one place in Dwaraka. This well is situated even now, and there is this the evidence of the story being happened. So all the stories that is mentioned in Bhagavatam is not actually some stories for actually human beings actually to learn from it. These are all actually histories, and there are evidence for each and every stories that has happened. So similarly, this king's place is also there near Dwaraka, and then this king was actually born as a chameleon, and when the sons of Krishna were actually praying in the courtyard, they saw this big chameleon in the courtyard in a well actually, and then they rushed to Krishna and actually asked them to help them from this big lizard. So Krishna comes and actually he takes this lizard out of the well. So the moment Krishna touches the body of the chameleon, actually a wonderful person actually appears from the body of that. From the body of the chameleon, and then this was nothing but uh, the uh, the king who was actually in the body of a chameleon. So he got deliverance from Krishna just by Krishna touching his body. So similarly, what we can see from this story is like how this karma kanda acts. This karma kanda is in such a way that you don't know what will actually happen. Like even though the sometimes people say that I've done all the good things in my life, I've done all charity in my life, but I'm still suffering. But there are people who are doing all wrong things only, but they are actually enjoying. So how does this happen? I don't have belief in God. So what we have to understand from these stories is that the laws of karma, the working of this laws of karma are very, very unique. You don't know like how what happens. The laws are very, very what to say. It's the puzzle is very, very hard to understand. So, but what happens when we actually be part of this karma kanda is that we are actually again put in this cycle of birth and death. So as a devotee, one should know that one may engage in various pious activities, but it is of no use until and unless that is actually offered to the Lord. It starts from our offering the boga, our offering the boga. It starts from there. So when we do our activities and offer it to Lord Krishna, all the sins that are accumulated actually goes away. So similarly, the process of chanting that we are doing is actually to renunciate ourselves from this attachment of or from the cycle of birth and death. So when we are chanting through the stories, we should understand that whatever karmic activities we engage, that will actually again put us in this cycle of birth and death. It may be even when Yamaraj gave this option for the king to live for 1,000 years in the heaven, it is actually again a suffering only. Right, you are getting a body, and then you are getting this four sufferings: birth, death, old age, and disease. You are again in the cycle of birth and death only. But you can only be liberated only when you engage in the devotional service. And one of the process that is recommended for Kali Yuga, people of Kali Yuga, is the chantings of the holy name, because only this can purify us. So only when we know the sole purpose of this, the chanting of the holy name, then we can actually concentrate on our meditation and hear the names of the Lord very, very nicely. So I have listed out some 5 reasons wherein we can actually very strongly meditate on these 5 points, so that every time we chant, we remember these 5 reasons, so that the purpose becomes very strong, and then we can, while meditating, while chanting, we can actually hear the names properly. So these 5 reasons we should actually note down for meditating the holy names of the Lord is that we should know why we are chanting. We should know that the sole purpose of my life is actually to actually be liberated from the repeated cycle of birth and death, and to be liberated from this suffering that this material world is offering, and that I am not happy in this material world. So this is one of the sole purpose. So I want to actually liberate it from this problems. This is the sole purpose of my life. My life is actually to come out of this repeated cycle of birth and death, come out of the sufferings that this material world is offering to me, and then come out of this unhappiness that I am actually facing here in this material world. And then the second reason is actually to purify myself. So the thoughts that I get is actually uh, creating me anxiety. This material world is actually made up of full of dualities. So every time we think, there is always duality. So by chanting, we are actually purifying ourselves. So purifying ourselves means always thinking that whatever I am doing is actually in the service of the Lord, is for his satisfaction. So that is what it means to purify myself. And the third reason is to achieve my real consciousness. And what is that real consciousness? To be the servant of the Lord. So third reason is to achieve my real consciousness. And the fourth reason is to get attachment towards Lord. So the reason why I'm chanting is actually to get more and more attachment towards the Lord. And the fifth reason is to serve the Lord. So these are the 5 reasons that we should meditate every time we are chanting the holy names of the Lord. See, there are 2 things that we actually do. Generally, our attitude in material mode is that I am going to do this. Right. In material mode, always our consciousness thinks that, okay, I will do it. I have the capacity to do it. I will do it. But in the spiritual mode, our thinking is like this holy name could do everything to me. So that is the dependence on the holy name. So as a devotee, how much dependence one has on the holy name, the effect is more. So if one can meditate on all these 5 reasons, that is the sole purpose of life, to purify myself and to achieve my real consciousness, and to get attachments towards Lord, so that I can serve the Lord. If one can meditate on these 5 reasons before starting our japa, so our commitment towards chanting will be more strong, and then we can concentrate very nicely on chanting the holy names of the Lord, and our dependence on the holy names of the Lord becomes more and more. So the more we depend more and more on the holy names of the Lord, our faith and firmness will becomes very fixed. So the more we become fixed, our consciousness will gradually improve, and then we can serve the Lord very nicely. So I'll stop here in the interest of time. Thank you for giving opportunity. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guruji, thank you. It's nicely explained 5 reasons to meditate on chanting and japa. It will definitely help us. And through the story of King Nriga,